1. Psychological effects. The prolonged exposure to this form of electrostimulation, combined with the hypnotic commands, could result in profound psychological effects due to the conditioning and indoctrination associated with the belief system. Cognitive dissonance. The subject faces immense pressure from their social group, where disbelief results in exile and disconnection. This creates a cognitive dissonance between maintaining personal doubt versus adhering to the group's belief system. The internalization of these hypnotic suggestions can cause the subject to rationalize experiences of alien spirits to reduce the mental conflict. Delusions and hallucinations. Continuous exposure to the belief that they are surrounded by disembodied spirits could result in a psychological phenomenon called delusional disorder, where the subject could genuinely believe in the presence of these spirits. This could manifest as auditory or visual hallucinations of the spirits. Induced psychosis. Over a long period, this type of intensive indoctrination might contribute to psychotic episodes where the subject may lose touch with reality. The belief in spirits associated with specific historical events, Xenu, volcanoes, etc., combined with high emotional investment could lead to dissociative states. Obsession and compulsion. The repetitive and intricate nature of the practice, counseling each spirit one by one, could fuel obsessive-compulsive behaviors, as the subject might feel compelled to continue the practice to reach a state of purification or freedom. 2. Neurological effects. Electrostimulation can have a direct effect on the brain, depending on the intensity and duration of the treatment. While the levels described, 1 to 5 volts, 0.5 to 1.5 milliamps, are relatively low, the extended duration, 5 hours a day for 2 years, and frequency, 0.071 to 7.1 hertz, can lead to several neurological outcomes. Neuroplasticity. Continuous exposure to electrostimulation, especially targeting the ulnar and median nerves, can alter neural pathways. The brain may form new connections based on repetitive electrical input, reinforcing the conditioned responses tied to the hypnotic suggestions. This could lead to learned helplessness, where the subject might feel powerless to change or question their belief system. Sensory disturbances. Prolonged electrical stimulation can affect the sensory and motor pathways. The ulnar and median nerves, which are responsible for the sensation and movement of the hand, could lead to localized numbness or tingling, but with long-term exposure, the brain might interpret these sensations as supernatural in nature due to the hypnotic narrative. This could reinforce the belief in spirits interacting with the body. Altered brainwave activity. The frequency range, 0.071 to 7.1 hertz, is in the theta wave range, 4 to 7 hertz, which is associated with states of deep relaxation, daydreaming, or light sleep. Long exposure to theta waves might facilitate a state of hypnagogia, a transitional state between wakefulness and sleep, which could blur the lines between reality and hallucination. In this state, the subject may more readily accept the hypnotic commands and the accompanying belief in spirits. Memory disruption. Prolonged exposure to electrostimulation could interfere with memory consolidation and recall. The subject might find it difficult to differentiate between real experiences and implanted suggestions, leading to a stronger acceptance of the fictional commands and their outcomes. Over time, this can result in the subject constructing false memories of past lives or spirit interactions. Hammer 3. Physiological effects. The physical impact of long-term electrostimulation is complex, especially when considering the low-voltage, low-current parameters provided. Neuromuscular effects. Stimulating the ulnar and median nerves with the described levels of voltage and current can lead to persistent muscle twitching, cramping, or even slight muscle atrophy if overused. The subject may interpret these involuntary muscle movements as evidence of spirits interacting with their body, reinforcing the belief system. Fatigue and strain. Holding onto the soup can-like electrodes for extended periods, 5 hours a day, could cause muscle fatigue in the hands and arms, but the narrative might interpret this fatigue as the result of spiritual activity. Physiological discomfort may be reframed as a necessary part of awakening the spirits, deepening the subject's commitment to the practice. Chronic pain or nerve damage. Over time, persistent electrical stimulation could lead to nerve irritation or damage, particularly to the ulnar and median nerves, which may cause chronic pain. Given the belief system's emphasis on spirits causing physical sensations, the subject could interpret this pain as evidence of spirit attachment rather than as an injury, potentially delaying proper medical intervention. Hypnotic effects. The specific design of the hypnotic commands to instill belief in body thetans and Xenu would influence the subject's experience and perception of the effects of electrostimulation. Deepening trance states. Hypnotic suggestion coupled with theta brainwave stimulation is known to produce deeper states of trance. The subject may enter a state of somnambulism where they are highly susceptible to the hypnotic commands and suggestions, further embedding the belief in alien spirits and their need to be counseled and freed. Dissociation. Extended hypnosis, especially with such intense and vivid imagery, alien spirits, volcanoes, galactic overlords, can lead to dissociative states where the subject might feel detached from their own body or identity. They may begin to perceive themselves not as an individual, but as a vessel for countless external entities, consistent with the belief system. Post-hypnotic suggestion. Repeated exposure to these hypnotic commands could lead to post-hypnotic effects, where the subject continues to experience or believe in the presence of spirits even outside of the sessions. This could result in the subject attributing any unusual sensations, emotions, or thoughts to the influence of spirits. 5. Belief reinforcement and group dynamics. The social context of the practice plays a critical role in its psychological impact. Group pressure and conformity. The threat of exile and disconnection from family and friends creates immense social pressure on the subject to comply with the belief system. This social reinforcement may prevent the subject from questioning the validity of their experiences, even when faced with doubt or distress. Internalization of beliefs. Over time, the subject may internalize the belief system not only to avoid exile, but also due to the cognitive conditioning created by the electrostimulation sessions. The fictional narrative of Xenu, volcanoes, and spirits may become as real to the subject as any other memory or experience. Conclusion. In this scenario, the combination of electrostimulation and a highly specific fictional belief system could lead to significant psychological, neurological, and physiological outcomes. The subject's perception would likely be heavily influenced by the hypnotic suggestions, potentially resulting in long-term changes to their sense of reality, identity, and well-being.